Hello, troublemakers out there. I'm Matt Catling, and this is the next disruption session where we interview the biggest troublemakers we can find. We answer your questions to help you get disruptive in life and business. Now, let's get started. Hey, Matt here, and welcome to the next disruption session. I hope you've been well. And today I wanted to talk to you about presenting. And presenting definitely is one of the skills that challenged me the most, I must say, especially in the beginning. In fact, it was my biggest fear. And I'm not just a lot of people say that, but it was literally my biggest fear. I would have preferred to do anything on the planet than get on stage in front of people and face rejection. But in saying that, presenting was the greatest opportunity for me, and in fact, it did transform my life. It didn't just transform my life, it transformed my psychology, my confidence, my certainty. It had me be okay with being real in front of groups, being present in front of groups, and that's what really presenting is. If you look at the first word in presenting, it is present. The greatest presenters of all time are simply in present time. They're in the moment. We've got a course called Influence now, and that's what it's about. How do we get you from being stuck in the past? And if you're experiencing negative emotions like fear and terror and all of that stuff, that's not present time. That's kind of a story that is playing, often based on the past. In fact, if it is a negative emotion, it is in the past. Anxiety or thinking of the worst case scenario is typically the future, fearing the future. And these kind of two processes work together. The past kind of triggers the future and vice versa. But the key and the answer is in present time, in the moment. You probably heard people say this about different talented musicians or athletes or anyone often that has achieved incredible things. People say this person has an incredible presence. And what does it mean? They just spend more time in present time. And I believe that when you're in the moment, you kind of get access to all of this incredible information, this knowledge. Everything kind of slows down. And sometimes when I'm presenting in front of an audience, I share all of this information and I think to myself, where did this come from? And some people call it channeling, whatever you want to call it. There is this vast kind of morphinogenic field with all of this information, kind of like, I suppose, the internet, if you will. And I think we get connected to it when we live it now or when we're in the moment. And I think we become the most influential when we're in the moment and we're present. And that could be at a micro level in terms of like a one-on-one situation where you are in the moment and you're actually present and you're genuinely interested and you're picking up on all of the little things, all of the little cues, if you will. And in NLP, like if you think of NLP, we've got a course called Excellence Now, but in NLP, that's what it's about. We teach body language techniques really just to get your awareness off yourself and onto the other person or to become present to the other person. And so the greatest communicators of all time is just simply in the moment. They are in the moment, they are present. And the greatest presenters of all time, it's exactly the same thing. They are in the moment and they are present. The thing about presenting, often the first phase of it is, I find that the audience can sometimes be a reflection of your unconscious mind. And I remember I had certain belief systems when I first started presenting. Like I was like 19 years old when I started to take the stage and I launched a coaching business. It's like 20 years ago. I was one of the first coaches out there and one of the original ones. And 19 years old, I'm sitting down with these really, really successful people and they're a lot older than me. And so, of course, my belief system started to pop up about, well, I'm too young, I'm not smart enough, I haven't achieved all of these amazing things, why would people listen to me? And these belief systems used to fire instantly, whether it be I was one-on-one with someone and maybe they were an authority, they were more successful than me, or whether I was kind of walking on stage and I had a big audience in front of me. And of course, there would be people in that audience that would kind of trigger or symbolize those belief systems. And so I'd be walking up on stage, and of course, my mindset is analysing the audience, going, "Oh my God, there's this person in the audience, this person in the audience, this person. They're dangerous. They could take me down. I could be totally rejected." And so, of course, I'm not going to be in present time with those stories playing. And I would start the presentation, and you betcha, one of the first things that would happen is someone would put their hand up, and the question would be, "How old are you?" And I would get it over and over and over and over again. Or another thing that I really feared was conflict. And so what would happen? People would kind of put up their hands and disagree with me, especially the alpha type of personality. And I went through this over and over and over again, and then I started to do the internal work, and I started to look at, where do these stories arise from? And as I started to neutralise them, my certainty started to grow, or my presence started to grow. And it got to the point where I didn't become paralysed when it came to conflict. In fact, I became strong, I became powerful. And as I became present, I was able to tap into kind of knowledge and resources that normally I didn't have. In the past, I would have kind of been silent, not knowing what to say. But because I'd done the work, then suddenly I had access to all of these resources and creativity. And then it got to the point where instead of being the victim, I became a little bit of the aggressor. And then I started to enjoy that kind of intellectual battle. And then as I transitioned from that, I kind of moved to more of a creator space where I didn't have to prove people wrong anymore. I didn't have to prove myself. And that's when my presence increased. And I was able to get incredible breakthroughs with people at the front of the room almost without force. And this is what I say to a lot of our coaches is, I believe the key is to do the work on yourself so that you become more present. And technique kind of falls away when it comes to therapy and all of those things. It's your presence that transforms people. And the greatest presenters of all time, they're so present that they can engage an audience like lightning. Before they even open their mouth, they've been able to engage an audience. And I believe that that is the key to influence. And that's why I call my presenter training Influence Now. And the objective is not to give people a whole heap of scripts, a whole heap of techniques, a whole heap of strategies. No, it's to take people through a journey where we look at these patterns and we challenge these patterns and we start to change the story and we do the work over and over and over again, because with every presentation you become more present. And we start to kind of put people in situations where they're feeling overwhelmed, they've had no preparation, and so all of their kind of stories are firing. And the more you can put someone in that situation and they come through it successfully, then suddenly their presence starts to increase. And this is why I've been able to take some presenters that I remember one training, there was this one guy who I thought, there is no way by the end of this training this person's going to be able to deliver a presentation. He was petrified, absolutely petrified. And by the end of the training, he delivered a world-class presentation. Now, we gave him strategies around anchoring the room, building rapport with the audience. But the thing that shone through was his passion, his presence, which all of this connected kind of switches on your purpose. And when someone is connected to a bigger mission, a bigger reason, and that's what they're presenting on, I believe that really engages an audience. And so I think everyone has a story to share. Whether you want to kind of be a presenter as a profession, or you want to do it from a personal development perspective. I know for myself, learning how to present was the greatest single thing I could have ever done, because it took my business to the next level. Because obviously when it comes to, I suppose, coaching and consulting in this industry, everyone wants to work with an authority, and when you take the stage, that's who you become. But from a personal development perspective, especially if this is one of your biggest wounds, it will unlock an incredible amount of confidence, an immense certainty, and most importantly, a presence, this incredible presence, which is really the authentic you. And that's why I'm so passionate about presenting and running these types of trainings, because they've had such a big impact on me. And And I've said this in previous podcasts, our wounds become our superpowers. And it was certainly my biggest wound when it came to rejection and all of those things. And as I mastered it, I had a natural desire to be able to share what I'd learned and really take people on a journey of that type of transformation. And so if you're listening to this podcast, my suggestion to you is everyone's got a story. And everyone is unique. Everyone has a story, and often we hold on to it. We push that story down, and you've probably heard this before. Everyone has a book, but I implore you to get out there and start to share, to make a difference, to serve, to get a voice. And I think we need more people out there with a voice that are taking a leadership position. And the more you share, the more present you're going to become, the more clarity you're going to have, which is going to tap into a bigger mission, a bigger purpose. And this is what I think the world needs, is leadership and people that are kind of coming from that place of service and passion. I call it kind of passionate entrepreneurs. And that's kind of my mission, is to get as many passionate entrepreneurs out there that are coming from that place to serve and make a difference. And so this is a bit of a short disruption session for you today. And really, in essence, this disruption session is to challenge you to get out there. To challenge you to get out there and disrupt your normal thinking and disrupt your fears, and to get out there and share a message. And there are so many avenues to be able to do it, whether it be Meetup or different group, speaking, networking events. There are so many opportunities to be able to do it. And the key is just doing it. And doing it and doing it and doing it. And for those of you that have been trained in presenting or are wanting to launch a speaking business, what I want to say to you, there is no such thing as a perfect presentation. And the key to it is to kind of stuff it up. Your first presentation, it's going to be really awkward. It's going to be unorganized. You're going to maybe have your technology not work, all of those things. If it's a commercial type of approach, probably you're not going to hit your financial targets. You may, but probably you're not going to hit your financial targets your first presentation. The first couple are kind of learning. It's kind of on your third one, I've found, with training a lot of speakers, that you start to kind of hit your financial targets. But the challenge often is a lot of people kind of give up after their second one, because they're kind of hanging their hat on making enormous amounts of money from this presentation, and they've invested so much money in getting people into a room and all that type of stuff. Typically, they're doing all of the wrong things. But what I teach in Influence now is, no, we want to make a mess and we'll clean it up later. Be okay with setbacks, be okay with challenges, be okay with rejection. And the cheapest way to do it is to get on someone else's stage. And there are so many people that are willing to put you on their stage. The key to it is just showing up and putting yourself in those environments. So I'm kind of rambling at the moment, but I hope you enjoyed this podcast today, which was really just about disrupting your presenting skills, if you will, and getting out there and being the influence that you can be right now. So we'll catch you next week. Have a wonderful week, and please, make sure you send me any questions that you want answered. Maybe there's someone that you want me to interview, like a really big troublemaker that you want me to interview. And check out my personal website, mattcatling.com, for any of the upcoming speaking gigs. I think I'm going to be in Melbourne in the next 2 weeks, then off to Perth, and then to Los Angeles for my new event that we've created called Create Your Future Now. And so that's a one-day event. We're very excited to take that around the world and sharing a whole lot of stuff on how to find your true target, create simplicity, and get out there and kind of be in the now moment as you create your future. So anyway, I'm going to go now. Have a wonderful week. We'll chat soon. Bye.